what is the criteria for an official run around the world?
Yeah, so when you run around the world, basically the record or the ratification is not done by the Guinness Book of Records because there is a specific federation for it with only 7 members to date. It's called the World Runners Association. So you can go on their website and have a look. Basically, there are basically 10 rules because, of course, if you're talking about planet Earth, which is 70% water, since we can't run on water, how exactly do you define running around the world? They have to say, for instance, okay, your run has to be in a continuous direction. So, for instance, you go east to west or west to east. That's one thing, and you stick to that direction. It has to be every continent you cross has to be crossed from one ocean to the other one, whichever way you do it. The only exception being Europe, the European crossing where the Asian continent starts, which is usually around Istanbul in Turkey. That's usually where but it could be in Russia at the Ural Mountains, for instance. So beside Europe, that doesn't really technically finish at an ocean. That has to be from ocean to ocean. A minimum, of 4 continents. So, there are 7 continents, but if you take away Antarctica, you are left with 6 populated continents. So 4 minimum. That means that you will have to run on both the northern and the southern hemisphere. You have got to go through 2 antipodal points. These points are basically points that are opposite on the Earth's surface. So if you were to punch the globe with a needle and see where it lands on the other side, that's 2 antipodal points. So there are not so many on the planet. Most of the time, if you pinch, you end up in the water. So they are quite challenging to find. Mine were, to give you an example, between New Zealand and Spain. They are completely opposite on the surface of the Earth. So, and then, of course, it has to be a minimum distance of 26,232 kilometers, which is a very precise number, and which is derived from the following. If you follow a line around the Earth and you stick to it, whichever line it is, the maximum amount of Earth you will come across is 6,232 kilometers. The circumference of the world being 40,000, of course, but there is so much water. So the maximum you could run on a continuous run would be 26,232 kilometers. So that is set as a minimum distance. Of course, some of us in the 7 people who run around the world have done more than that. Tony Mangan, the Irish guy, has done 50,000 kilometers. That was a heck of a journey. So yeah. So it's just guidelines. Basically, these rules are here to help you structure exactly what do you mean by a run around the world. It's such a big endeavor. And it's also to ensure that this is not something self-declaratory. You don't say, oh yeah, I've been running around the world. No, there is some verification, and in a way it helps preserve our legacy as well.